All right, thanks, Sarah. So let's call this meeting to order. It is 5:34. And our first item is introductions and recognitions. So let's just go around and introduce ourselves. There's a lot of us tonight, so this is exciting. My name is Denise Kegler. I'm the new chair of MAC, and I'm a parent in town. Yep. And I'm a parent in town with a son at Southeast Elementary, and I also work for the Mansfield Downtown Partnership. Sarah, do you want to go next?
Sure. So I'm Sarah Dufresne. Many of you know me. I work for youth services in Mansfield. I'm also a mom of 2 kiddos that go to school in Mansfield, one at the middle school and one in preschool, who will be at the new elementary school next year, which I'm super excited about. I live in town, so I absolutely love being here and I'm very passionate about this. So thanks to all of the new moms and dads that are here to represent and really kind of revive MAC. I know on our agenda, actually it's not on here. I wanted to just do a quick kind of what MAC is. So it's, Mansfield Advocates for Children, simple enough, but it's really not. So it is an advisory council to town council on anything concerning youth in under 8 in this town. So years ago, it really focused on a lot of grant work and a lot of doing a lot of things. One of the big things that they did was build the playground behind the community centers. That was a big, huge MAC driven thing. And a lot of the stuff that we do is to get information out to families and kids. And one of the other big things that MAC is our School Readiness Council. So School Readiness is a program run by the Office of Early Childhood, and it provides access to quality preschool programs for children and families. And it's a grant, so it is a subsidized space for families so that they can go and attend a quality program in our town. So one of the big things that we do here is we vote on how we spend that funding. We have 25 school readiness spaces. They are divided amongst 4 amazing centers in this town. Unfortunately, 3 of those directors could not be here tonight, but we do have Lisa Don from Community Children's Center. And our other 3 centers are Mount Hope Montessori, Uconn Child Labs, and Mansfield Discovery Depot. So it's pretty neat. And one of the things I really wanted to revive was kind of having people like Carl come and talk about things and information that might not be on our radar that is pertinent and important and something that we can share with families and provide access to this information that they might not have. So now that we kind of have gotten that out of the way and I've given you this really long spiel, I'm going to pass it off to Pat.
Hi, I'm Pat Schneider. I'm the Director of Human Services. So I oversee senior social and youth services, which early childhood is part of. So we kind of serve the whole age spectrum.
And Tracy.
Hi, I'm Tracy Smith. I'm an early childhood consultant with ECCP. It's the Early Childhood Consultation Partnership. In my office, I work out of Community Health Resources in Manchester.
And Judy, I'm just going around my screen. I know you're all in a different order.
Hi, my name is Judy. I am a Mansfield resident. I have 4 kids. I have 1 in the middle school, 2 at Southeast, and my infant that goes to MDD.
And Adrienne.
Sorry, I had to get off mute. I am Adrienne McPherson. I have 2 kids, one that is in Southeast, Quinn here, and then my son Wesley right there is at MDD, and I live in town.
Yeah. And Jane.
Hi, I'm Jane Goldman from Uconn, from Child Development or Human Development and Family Sciences Department, and a Mansfield resident, and I think I live right down the road from Adrienne.
It's a nice area.
Yeah.
Hi, Lisa and Lisa. I'm like, hi, Lisa, ready to just start a
Hi, Sarah.
conversation.
Lisa Don, I'm the director at Community Children's Center here at Stores and also a Mansfield resident.
Oh, was I muted? I think I was muted. Carl, you're up.
Hey, sorry, hello there. I'm Carl Essikainen, and I'm a manager for field mobilization for the Coalition to End Homelessness. And I'm happy to be here and see you all virtually. And I live in the beautiful town of Eastford up here in the Northeast, a little bit from you all, but my daughter's in a dorm in Uconn. But great to be here and looking forward to talking with you tonight.
Perfect. Thanks, Carl. And Kimberly.
Hi, I see some familiar faces here. I'm new here. Say I've been in Mansfield though for a number of years. I've got 5 children that have gone through various schools. I'm on the Region 19, which is the E.O. Smith Board of Education. And I work as a substitute school nurse in the Mansfield schools. So, thank you.
And Kimberly's son, Henry, works with us in youth services, and he is amazing. Just such a stand-up kid. So I can't say that enough. I tell anybody who I can tell because he's just amazing. So Miguel, you're up next.
Hi, everyone. I'm Miguel Colon. I'm the Associate Director for Community Outreach at Uconn. Essentially, we have programs from preschool all the way to high school, not just in Mansfield, but in different areas as well. But we do have a great relationship with Mansfield Youth Services in particular. We're here and, and the students are around. So as long as they are around, we have a job. I have a job, so we're good.
Yeah, they better keep you. We need you. Katie.
Hi, Katie Bell, she, her, hers. I am the youth services supervisor for the town of Mansfield. And I have a very important question for Denise and Sarah. Are we doing recognitions now or when we're done with introductions? Because y'all know that no one's getting out of recognitions tonight.
I think let's go through all the introductions and then go back to recognition.
Sounds good to me. Shamim.
Hi, Shamim Patwa, Director of Student Support Services for the Mansfield Public Schools. And I've missed what else I'm supposed to say in my introduction here.
Nothing. Anybody, anything you want to say? Your favorite color, your favorite food? No.
I really like the sub-school nurse, Kim Christensen. She's really come through this year. I got to tell you, we have been very lucky to have the nurses we have. Anyway,
no, I feel like I hit the jackpot with new members. I'm not gonna lie.
I know this is a good crew.
When everyone emailed me back and they're like, "Sure, we'll join," I was like, "Oh, I really couldn't have handpicked this any better." So thank you. And last but not least, Tim.
Hi, sorry, I'm actually driving right now. My name's Tim. I've been living in Mansfield for 2 years now. My wife and I, we don't have any kids yet, but we are looking to adopt. I'm a clinician and work with children, so I've just been interested to try and really connect with, I found out that this group thought it'd be a great way to connect with other people.
Yes, we are a wonderful group. I think you'll be sucked in quite quickly. So thank you for joining us. It's great to have all of you here. And I guess that Katie's chomping at the bit for a recognition, so throw it out there. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
I have to I feel like I always recognize Sarah at these, but I have to like extra super duper recognize Sarah. As many of you have heard, we are going through some very big staffing changes at Youth Services, losing one of our longtime, very beloved clinicians, Danielle Anna Bellini, who is going on to become executive director of a nonprofit over in Suffield. We'll be very lucky to have her. And Sarah has been amazing in all things coverage, in all things support, in all things jump on board to keep our services moving, going, happening, new ones happening still somehow in the midst of all the changes. So Sarah has been an absolute rock star of organization, of wearing like 12 different hats at the same time. And I cannot be more appreciative of her and everything she brings to our team. And everything that she brings here to MAC, including bringing you all together, who are our new members and our existing members. And I like would spend 20 minutes talking about how much like I can't talk about enough how much I appreciate Sarah right now in our transition.
Oh, thank you. I do it for the town. I love it. Mansfield's in my blood. It's here. I'm here to stay. So you're not getting rid of me. Go ahead, Pat.
Oh, I just want to follow up with that. We are recruiting, actively recruiting for a new master's level social worker to fill pretty big footsteps with Danielle leaving. So if you know anybody who would be good and would be interested, the application process, I believe, closes this next Friday. Is that correct, Katie? When
Applications close on the 10th.
Yes. So if you know anybody, it's a great position, but a challenging position. We provide the school social work services and then positive youth development programs. And, you know, with the pandemic, we've kind of been jack of all trades. So, you know, send those people our way. It's on our town website.
Oh, I would just throw in just a second or kind of third there. Sarah does a fabulous job, and thank you so much for all the work that you do. It's very, very much appreciated. Does anyone have any other recognitions for this time? All right, great. Was there any public comment?
No, there was no public comment.
All right. So let's move into our next item is to approve the minutes from February 2nd, 2022. Do we have a motion to approve? Looks like Jane. And a second for the motion. Shamim, thank you. All in favor? All right, hold on a second, because we have so many new people. All in favor who attended, or Sarah, how would you like to do this?
It's whoever had seen the minutes, we're going to vote on them. MAC is a little different in some other ways that we don't necessarily have to tally every vote. It's by consensus. So as long as the consensus of voting members approve the minutes and there's no additions, then they get approved.
Okay, great. Does anybody have anything that they'd like to add to the minutes? Great. So for approving by consensus, do you generally just ask anyone opposed or
yeah, I would just say, yep. Well, no, because it would approve by consensus. So anybody opposed would usually want to make changes. So we would make those changes noted, and then we would just vote to approve the minutes.
Okay, great. Does anyone have any changes or would not like to not approve the minutes? Great. So they are approved by consensus.
There we go. Beautiful. Thank you.
Sorry to stumble through that. All right. So next up, we are very happy to have Carl from the Connecticut Coalition to End Homelessness. And I am actually going to turn it right over to you, Carl. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah. No, thank you. Thanks again. Yeah. This starting with accolades is awesome. What a great kickoff to a meeting. It's great. So congratulations. And I'm glad to be here. Well, one, thank you so much. I'll answer any questions that you have at any moment for sure. And I've got some notes here to go by and just bring you up to speed about what's been concerning us at the coalition with our membership. We're a membership organization, and the members are the frontline service providers addressing homelessness and unsheltered homelessness, really, and the crisis side of housing in the state. We work really closely with folks who also are addressing affordable housing and the amount of housing stock that we have. Folks from the Partnership for Strong Communities are fantastic. So we work with them too, but I focus on the crisis side, and I got my teeth cut as an outreach worker in Philadelphia at the street level for people who are outside. So we're trying to make the system more comprehensive and make outreach more available, kind of is the goal statewide, which has been certainly a challenge with COVID. But we are a small but mighty organization. We have a new executive director. Her name is Yvonne Klein. We had a year-long search during COVID. Going kind of into the weeds here, but our previous director, Richard Cho, who was fantastic, went on to be a senior advisor for Marsha Fudge at HUD. And he took a couple staff members with him, which, congrats. And they're great folks, but we got de-staffed, and so we've been, dealing with that and COVID and system challenges. So enough by way of history. I'll just move quite onward right now. Number one, we do some advocacy work. So I'll share some of the things that I'm talking about here tonight. Certainly with Sarah, I've already shared something just now you may have gotten from me from some partners, but I'll go through a few. I've got a few things to say. One, around advocacy, we're active right now at the Capitol. It's a short session this year. You may know this about us. We work with our partners at the Partnership for Strong Communities on a campaign called Reaching Home that has, I shared something with Sarah so you could see kind of highlights about this. One thing that we're really trying to do that COVID called attention to in particular is funding the front line, and the front line for us are those folks who are providing direct level services in shelter throughout the state. So we're working to try to get them supported like other essential workers throughout the state. We also, last year, we were, I wouldn't say close, but we introduced housing as a right at the state level in Connecticut, which is an incredible challenge. It hasn't been done anywhere in the United States at the state level. We are pushing that again. Yesterday was testimony at the LOB for housing as a right within the state. It's a kind of watered down version of what we started at, but it's a starting point where we actually get our state partners to kind of step up and take account for the work that the emergency side of the system and the crisis side of the system does continuously. So really important and exciting work for our advocates and our members, and a lot of people are energized about that. So there's an advocacy component to what we do. I'll share some things with Sarah that she can share more with you. I would say for you all, for sure, you should know that we have some monies as well from Family First campaign. It's like Jeff Bezos, it's Amazon monies that we have to spend regarding keeping families housed. We are trying to work right now through the State Department of Education to kind of do something interesting and creative and progressive through Mckinney-Vento liaisons, perhaps, within the school districts to help identify families who are on the threshold of being unhoused or unsheltered. And just FYI, this is kind of baking right now in our minds. We have some monies that we have to spend, and we're trying to really focus on ending family homelessness because we're close, frankly, for outreach, for resources, and for connections for this system. So with this Bezos money, we're really trying to push that over the next year. So Also for you all, importantly, what's happened is, I think I may have said some things before about the challenges with minors. So you all work with families. I know that this group is based on, taking care of even younger kids, 8 and below, but in any family setting, and for you community providers, we're excited to let you know that there are minor conferencing pilot work groups around the state to address those young people who were attached to families who might be outside of them, who are minors, not involved with DCF, perhaps not involved with the Youth Service Bureau or JRB or other folks, but still at great risk and or unsheltered, couch surfing, unstably housed, or literally homeless. There's one that's in Manchester, and they're active. They have a meeting at the end of the month. And this is in coordination with, like I said, YSBs, the Department of Children and Families. Steve Smith is the lead there. There's a new director of YSBs statewide. Some of you might know her, Tricia George. She worked for the Hartford Libraries previously. She's fantastic. There's also folks from the Center for Children's Advocacy who are involved. Stacy Violante Cote is an advocate, and she has a team of people around her. So the minor pilots are really important. And why is this important? Because we know that, young people experiencing homelessness experience it differently. Minors are at fantastic risk, and it's an unknown population because we haven't been able to get our heads around how we can case conference legally and sensitively. And I see the note here. Legally and sensitively around minors. So this is like a big step. There's pilots in Manchester, in southeastern Connecticut, and also in Fairfield. So just heads up, there's work being done to try to bridge the gap for young people who might be removed from their families before they're 18, which is a crisis whenever it occurs, of course. I have been working, maybe since I saw you, my page turned just a little bit, and certainly COVID happened, but I started on a thread of working really at the municipal level through a framework to address homelessness through Sustainable Connecticut. So some of you may have heard about Sustainable Connecticut in other ways in your town. Mansfield is actually like rock stars there. You have a group of folks who are active. You are a silver certified town. What this means is, congratulations, because there's some activity and there's some creative and progressive minds addressing multiple issues through these frameworks. But we were able to get in homelessness, like 4 actions to address homelessness, which entail 1, educating and making more aware the town around you about this issue of homelessness. 2, training up and identifying a person at the town level to be responsive to issues of people who are literally unsheltered or at the threshold thereof. 3, sharing data with the regional network, the coordinated access network that also Mansfield is part of. So that would be Wyndham proper, or the East. Am I speaking that correctly? Or is it, you're not all with Hartford, you're with the East? Yes. So knowing knowing the network and connections. So this would be, for those of you who do speak some of the homeless talk here, this is like Avery Lenart, who's the Wyndham No Freeze. Jamie Parker she is the overseer of the CAN and the whole eastern part of the state. She's from TVCCA, just like knowing those folks. And the 4th action that we're asking towns to take are to dedicate resources to address homelessness in a way. So there's a lot of things that you could be doing, right? We could, towns apply for grants to share staff to help with diversion. Towns provide a warming space for people regionally if there's not one provided near them. They may also provide transportation. They might, and here's something that I would implore your town to do, and set aside units through the housing authority for people who are literally experiencing homelessness. It's an interesting idea. It happens in other towns such as Bristol and the city of Hartford. I can share more examples of that. But we want the town, in a way, through the actions with Sustainable CT, to step up and help in a way that they can. So anyway, I've been working town by town by town, which I love, and is in the virtual world has been really great. I was really happy to travel to you all because you're only 12 miles away, but my work previously was all over the state. So like Salisbury and Kent and Ridgefield and these places. It's great to be able to be in these spaces, but the virtual work has made organizing and actually outreach to each town a little bit easier. So lastly, I would just say we have a lot of trainings that are occurring. I'll send Sarah the link to our training calendar. One thing that's coming up is a training around diversion, which is this tactic. It's actually just, I think it's about having conversations with people, is what diversion is about, and knowing about resources that are available. So we have training for diversion that's coming up targeted to municipalities in the middle of this month. And that is when people are presenting to 211 or are on the doorstep of being in shelter. We try to find community resources, flexible funding, rapid rehousing, rapid exits, or some other kind of funding. We have grants from PetSmart to address families that have a pet that are keeping them from being in shelter or from being housed stably. So, et cetera, et cetera. There's many flexible ways that monies could be used to keep people housed. It varies region to region, and I won't go into detail about that, but the big thing I think for this group would be to certainly maybe have like Jamie Parker or someone from the CAN come and talk more closely about what's happening, or if that's relevant for you all, for sure. Let's see, what else do we have for trainings? I'll just forward you all the calendar that we have. I'm doing some specific things with Sustainable CT. They have an active calendar. If you or know town folks who are involved with that, they offer trainings nearly every day for one thing or another. I'm going to be at a coffee hour, I think on the 18th, with someone talking about affordable housing. And then I will have also some coffee hours or some virtual office hours here coming up this month. I'll advertise with Sarah just to respond to municipalities statewide about these actions. So lots of momentum. I'm sorry, I'm talking this much. I apologize, your first meeting, or your you probably want to hear someone else, but there's lots of momentum from in the municipal campaign, I would say, and in Mansfield and kind of up in this corner, Pomfret, Ashford, Woodstock, Thompson, like these towns, there's like a lot of concern around homelessness, around coordinating with shelter, and my work has taken me at the municipal level and also through like United Ways, through councils of governments, and through the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities. So I've been on those threads since I last saw you, Sarah, and this cohort, but happy to help you in any way. Again, we don't provide any direct assistance. All I do is train and try to get best practices and advice, to communities. One last thing I'll leave you with is like, there's a lot of federal monies to address COVID, like ARPA monies, that we're also trying to communicate to towns to take advantage of. The school districts have already written these plans and have been approved by the State Department of Education, but there's town level money to improve housing stock, could also improve outreach, coordination between groups. So more to come about ARPA monies coming within the town. Mansfield might already have a plan. It's hard for me to keep track of all the work that's being done at the town level. But for us and our members, this is really important because it could be like this breakthrough moment for the next couple years when those monies have to be spent regarding affordable housing, and then also, you know, something on the crisis side of housing too. So thank you for your work.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to have you because I think it's something that a lot of us don't think of. And, you know, a lot of us might not have thought about that 16-year-old kid who's sleeping on different couches, that they really are homeless. And, you know, like you were just saying, there are programs to help them. They might not be on the radar. They might not be getting arrested. They might not be, you know, getting in trouble at school, but they are, for all intensive purposes, meet the definition of homeless. So it's great to know that there's programs out there. And that there's ways to help families. I know that I've seen a lot in our town recently, families being displaced from their rentals and not having, you know, housing, secure housing in the upcoming months. And they have kids in our school system, and rentals in our area are just disproportionately outrageous because of the college. So, you know, it's good to know that these families will potentially be homeless and on the streets, that there are ways to help them. So I guess my biggest question to you is, what's the easiest way for them to get help? Is it 211? I mean, is that always the easiest kind of direct source in Connecticut?
Yes, it is absolutely 211. So if someone's in crisis, 211, they're the gatekeepers for sure. But I also think that you know, I think there's room for you to know Jamie Parker. So the CAN leads and the people who are kind of behind the scenes are know about the scope of resources and can help advise as well as 211, or can help with that call to 211 or details about 211, as can Avery, right, Lenart from Wyndham No Freeze. But I think it's just maybe hearing from those folks and then understanding on the ground what resources are available to you all within the CAN. So the East is a big region. It serves like the Northeast and the Southeast. And it's just important to hear, like, we have this many youth navigators that are doing targeted outreach to the 18 to 24-year-olds. And we have this many folks doing outreach in general for outside for folks with mental health. Like, just kind of that landscape is kind of a next step, but access is through 211, and then the CAN connections are something I think you all should just know as professionals for sure.
Yep. And I mean, I do know of those two individuals. They're the next town over. I think everybody in our area knows a lot about the Wyndham No Free Shelter. So I think that that's really good information. And then everything that you sent me via email, I will send out to all of you via email. And I will also post on our website, so that on our youth services website, I can post it under the Mansfield Advocates for Children bar, and then I'll have links to all the stuff that he sent. So Carl, that's awesome. Does anyone else have questions? Yes, Shamim, I saw you raised your hand.
Hey, Carl, thanks a lot for all that information. So I'm the McKinney-Vento Liaison for the school district. And I'm just wondering, I mean, the system is wonderful. What you made me think more about is the proactive role of schools in identifying kids who are homeless. You know, by the time I get involved, it's pretty easy. You know, we find transportation, we work with wherever the families are. So I'm wondering, do you have, and I'm looking at Kim, and I think of the frontline people who usually are student facing and might have some intimate relationships with kids. So are there more, I don't know, is there some literature? Is there some resource that I can pass out to school staff? All of our schools have these care teams too, and they're doing a lot of support for families. It's a nice extension to have that material. So, I'm just thinking about more of a proactive approach of what else should we be looking for? and then jumping on linking families.
That's awesome. No, fantastic. I think, I would ask, let me just check in with Louis. So Louis Talarita from STE.
He's helped me before, so I can reach out to him too.
he's got a lot of ideas and things up his sleeves.
He's great,
have some
yeah.
things, but this idea of how could you be more active? Like you're talking about like signs.
Yes.
Or how could you share with staff to really just think about, this young person could be experiencing a housing crisis based on what you're seeing, and this might be like not known otherwise. It's vital. I'll think on this, but that's just a fantastic question, and I'll try to get something to Sarah that addresses this. And then
Absolutely.
we know
and I
also
can connect
that,
you
like,
too as well. Yeah.
Yeah, like the peer-to-peer, the strength of the peer-to-peer work within schools is also like super important. So young people, where we've gone and talked about this openly or had leadership from young people at the school level to talk about homelessness. When kids do a presentation about what this might mean or what this could mean, then the response is like, it could be just far better. It's like, just because you're the Mckinney-Vento, it doesn't mean that you're the trusted adult in their lives, of course. So it's like getting kids to communicate with other kids about who is this person, like what are we seeing, and then who is the trusted adult at the school level. It's really powerful work, and but I know you have your hands full.
I was going to say, just in follow-up, that we have so many resources. I mean, all these people on the screen, there's a lot of resources in town. And I have been impressed with the wraparound services that when we get a family that's living in a shelter, how well connected they are with services. So, the more we can do for families, it just makes sense. So thank you.
Thank you.
Agreed. Thank you. Awesome. Thanks, Carl. I will share Carl's contact information with all of you. I will pass along all documents, and then you can, feel free to communicate with me if you had questions or reach out to Carl. He's super approachable guy, as you can tell. Carl, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks so much. I hope to, it's a pleasure. Let me know if I can help in any way. I'll shoot some things your way and keep up this great work. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks.
Thank you so much. So our next agenda item is the School Readiness Council items and a staff report. And so I'm going to turn it back over to Sarah.
All right, so I mentioned earlier what school readiness is, and this just so happens to be our crazy grant time of year. So welcome all of you new people right into the chaos. So the school readiness grant is kind of how, we receive our money from the state. And when COVID began, they did this really wonderful thing at OEC, where if we had a center that was already granted these funds, we got to check this little box that said this center is still wonderful, and the OEC sent us our money. Well, they have now, since we are climbing out of this pandemic, they have decided that we have to go through this long process of each and every one of our centers that we know are wonderful has to fill out this extremely long RFP. So, and it really is so lengthy. They have to copy their entire handbook, and they have to answer these certain questions that highlight like certain pages and lines in their policies, and they have to answer questions. And one of the things I can say is that, a lot of towns had a lot of centers close, or they have a lot of centers that change ownership, or families go in and out. And we are so fortunate in Mansfield to have these centers that are NIAC accredited, that are on top of their accreditation. They have, their staff are trained, they're at the levels they need to be trained at. We go in and we do monitoring visits at these centers, and they really are all amazing. So my job for that is very easy, but the grant process itself is not. It is hundreds of pages. Each one that these centers turn in usually average as anywhere between 80 to 120 pages. That then we have to have a scoring committee meet, and they go through these, and we score the RFPs, and then we have to recommend funding. And as a council, we vote. So I skipped over A, which was our MAC recruitment initiatives, and as you can tell, that worked. So kudos, our recruitment initiatives worked. We did great. Woo! So then the grant update is that I just said this is not a grant renewal year. It has to go out publicly. So what I will do after this meeting, we need to vote on a due date, but then I will put out a press release that then says that these requests for proposals for the school readiness grant for the next fiscal year will go live. Any childcare center in town that is nonprofit can apply for these spaces if they so choose. Once we get the RFPs back, like I said, we will have a scoring panel, and any of you are welcome to be on the scoring panel. I actually, if you have like no grant experience, or if you want to learn more about MAC, it's a really neat way to see how the Office of Early Childhood kind of lays these things out for their early childhood education. It's a lot. And it's a lot of things that these centers have to do to receive this funding. And, this funding in turn helps families in Mansfield and beyond receive really high quality education, which is really cool. So the grant itself that I have to write, which is after I receive each of these 100-page chunk of documents from each center, is due to the OEC on May 8th. So I would personally love to vote on our due date and have it due in April, and a date that I think would just work for me and give me plenty of time would be April 8th. So I would, personally like that, since as the school readiness liaison, I would have to kind of work with all of these, but ultimately it is up to you guys. So Lisa, you're the only representative right here from a center. So I guess I would really need your feedback. Is the April 8th doable? Is that achievable?
It feels too soon. Only because we also are right in this really pinchy time of working on our program portfolio for NIAC. So there's already not enough hours in the day. So we were looking at when can we prioritize doing this grant. And even if we could just have one more week beyond the 8th to the 15th, would give us a little breathing room. I would appreciate that if you can.
Okay. I think that would still work on my end, because then we could have the review panel meet that week of the 17th, which is actually school vacation. So there might be a little wiggle room for parents in that week that we could meet, either during the day or, so I'm okay with that. If you want to make a motion for that to be the date, unless anybody else has any input on that.
The only thing I will point out on the calendar is April 15th is Good Friday. So it is a municipal holiday. So there wouldn't be anybody to timestamp those as received on the 15th.
So I would make a motion for the 14th then.
Okay. Yeah, and that's fine by me. Okay. So Lisa made the motion for the RFP submission date to be Friday, April 14th. Do we have a second? And anybody can second. I just would need a second.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you.
Is there a time of day, Sarah? I'm just putting it in my calendar.
We can do April 14th by the close of our business day, which is 6:30 on that Thursday. So we can say 6:30 p.m.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
And I guess, again, for voting, if it's by consensus, is anyone opposed to that date? Great, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah.
Sarah, can I ask a quick follow-up question?
Of course.
For the council, if people are interested in joining you, first, should they just email you, or is this sort of a chain thing where they should email the group? And then secondly, how many people in total are you looking for that group?
There's no limit as to how many I would take. It would just be, you know, I guess I usually do print them. So in an effort to save some trees from the excessive amount, I think that, you know, I sit on Wyndham's review panel and there's always 6 or 7. So I think that that is definitely a great number. And if any of you would like to participate, you can definitely feel free to email me directly. And my email is, I know it's on the agenda. You can literally Google me. You can go to the Mansfield Youth Services site, but it is my last name, which is Dufresne, DUFRESNES at mansfieldct.org. And it is a really, thank you, Katie, for putting that in the chat. It is a really neat way to get to know a lot of like these Connecticut standards and what is expected, and to read these questions and really find out what we do here in Mansfield. You know, there's a lot of collaborations that go on between these multi-level town agencies that are all centered around these childcare centers. It really is a neat thing to participate in, I think. And it really gives you a better idea of what the school readiness portion of MAC is. So another thing I want to say real quick is I usually, these meetings are very quick. We usually are out in like a half hour. So this is a pretty long one tonight. But I think an hour is workable. And I'm usually always respectful of people's time, because I know that this is a tough time, especially with kids. It's like dinner time. But I do have 2 more important things to go to super quick on our closing and upcoming agenda items. With the lifting of the mask mandates and public spaces being open as public spaces, we have, you know, to make a decision. Do we want to continue meeting virtually because it's convenient, or do we want to go back to meeting in person? So the floor is yours. You can give me some input on that.
Is there an option to do like just hold like a couple in-person ones?
Absolutely. And I
do the
think
rest
that's
virtual?
Yep. And I was kind of actually saying that to Katie when we were talking about it. I know that our June kind of wrap up the year before we take a summer off is such a fun in-person one, you know, because I think it really is a time to almost celebrate all the hard work we did. You know, the grant is over and we can really just kind of come back. So I would love to have that June meeting, you know, in person. But yes, Pat.
It can also be hybrid.
Okay.
Although those can be a little challenging to manage, but I just want you to know that, and I would suggest with this group that maybe that's something to consider if we do go to some meetings, would be to think about hybrids, so that people who have childcare issues, travel issues, sickness, you know, that they would still be able to participate virtually. That's just my suggestion.
If we vote now to keep it hybrid, does that mean that every meeting would have to have an in-person option, or would that give us that flexibility to have some meetings be?
I would suggest that you vote on having it's actually the chair's call, believe it or not. It's not even
You're
usually
in the
a voter
hot seat,
thing.
Denise. This
But
is you.
you know,
You're
that's
up.
what I've been told. It's the chair's thing.
Okay.
But I'm just suggesting if you decide to go back to in-person, or any in-person that you have, that you consider offering them hybrid as well, and make sure
Yes.
wherever you have them is equipped with the technology to do that.
Yes.
Okay, so then it sounds like, and Sarah, definitely jump in if I'm wrong, for next month, we may want to keep it virtual. Is that correct? All right, so then if we are keeping next month virtual, do we need to take any action at this meeting?
No, it was just to get a feel so that we knew which direction we were heading in. And I think that that's perfectly fine. And we can definitely just put that as a closing agenda item, you know, to just kind of discuss where we all feel going forward. Yes, Katie?
I just have a question, and I don't know, Pat, if you know the answer to this. If the virtual options will extend past April, which I believe is when the original governor's statute that allowed for virtual expires.
So here's what I've been told is that we have the ability to do that, but there is legislation out there right now that should be acted on to either extend that or possibly making the option to do virtual a permanent option for towns or hybrids. Because especially when you involve volunteer citizens, that there are lots of reasons why people, you're opening up to more people being involved if you at least have the option to do hybrid meetings. And there's a lot of economy of scale for staff and for other things to allow staff to participate so that the, you know, I'll be honest with you, so that the town doesn't keep staff on payroll, you know, longer than just the meeting time. So there's a lot of different issues in that. You know, the council is going back to in-person meeting, but they're going to have a hybrid option this next council meeting. You know, just so you know, they've also reserved the option to make that change if numbers go up or that changes, and that would also impact any of the town advisory groups and meetings as well.
Perfect. So yeah, Denise, I agree. We'll keep it as virtual for now and we can readdress next month. And then the last thing is we had kind of two people join us that didn't get to introduce themselves. So Jacqueline, I want you to say hi real quick.
Hey, everybody. Can you see me? I'm on my phone and I did something.
Now we can't.
I'm on my phone because my lovely work computer does not allow.
Oh, now you're muted. Oh, man.
Sometimes people lose either their picture or especially if their battery is.
I think that's what happened.
Lower.
We lost her.
Oh, no, I was
There's
muted
just
the
come
whole
back.
time. I told.
There we go.
I'm sitting here saying technology is not my friend, and clearly I was right on that. I'm sorry. Sorry for joining late, everybody. I'm Jacqueline Lapointe. I'm looking forward to joining and helping out in any way I can. I was just saying I already see some familiar faces, so I'm very excited for what's to come this year and all of next year.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. And Kelly, you were kind of.
Yeah, I did have a technology issue. I was here and then my battery died and my computer was dead. I was just like a complete mess. So my name is Kelly Ziermann. I'm a long-term MAC member and I'm also a member of the Mansfield Board of Education.
Thank you, Kelly. So just in a quick effort to wrap up, we're going to be done and we're going to adjourn in a second. But I really would love your input on some of the things you would like to see us talk about in the upcoming months. Anything that you think is important, any information you'd want us to share. Jane, what do you got for me?
No, I'm wondering, what do we do about voting on the new members? Does that come next time?
Nope, the new members get appointed through the Committee on Committees. And so they have all applied and the Committee on Committees has made their recommendations to council. Some of them have officially been appointed in this last meeting, and then some of the new ones will be officially appointed with the next, but all of the people that have applied through the application process through the town have gone on to the Committee on Committees.
Jane,
Thank you.
Jane, I just want to let you know that, and this is something that, again, probably for the next meeting, they've asked MAC to look at its old charge, and believe it or not, our old charge is really old. It predates.
It's like really old.
Yes, and is not any way, shape, or form anything like MAC even has been at other, you know, in other at other times. So that's something you know, Sarah's started poking at, and we've been looking at, but we've been asked to do that. So that's probably going to be a topic of discussion for the next.
Yeah, that will be,
meeting.
yeah, that will be on our next agenda. I am reworking those. Our bylaws actually have much more depth and description about our membership than our actual charge to the town. So we're going to try to change that. And I'm going to use a lot of what the OEC wants us to have for our school readiness council makeup as kind of what we use as our MAC membership charge. So I have a rough draft of that. I'm going to do a couple tweaks and that will go out to all of you before our next meeting. So we can kind of go over it, make any changes, and then we can make a vote on that. But for now, that is the process. You fill out the application online to join a committee, and then that goes to the committee on committees. They then interview the people who sign up, and then they make a recommendation to town council to have those people be appointed to the committee. So that is the process. But anything that you guys would like to see, talk about, any, people that you would like to have come in, like we just had Carl come in, you can always send me their information via email and we can set something up. That's one of kind of the neat things about this group, is that it really is just so driven by us and what we see as important and what kind of information we want to get out to families on kids in this town. So with that said, and with nothing else, I think for me to say, I'm going to let Denise take over for our last agenda item.
All right, and let's officially adjourn this meeting. It is 6:30. So, thank you all so much. It's really nice to meet everybody who joined, and thank you, Sarah, and thank you. Carl's not on the meeting anymore, but thank you, Carl, for a great talk. Have a great have a great month.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you.
Oh, we're all saying goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
It
Thank
wasn't
you,
Uncle
Tim.
Carl. It was a different
Welcome.
Carl, buddy.
Good
Your
night,
cat was
Cole.
adorable,
Good night,
by the way.
Cole.
I know, Cole, I know, our buddy.
Bye.
Bye.